Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing our conversation on simplifying expressions. Last year and earlier this year as a review, we've been talking a lot about the distributive property and combining like terms separately, and now we are going to be putting them together. What happens if they're both in one expression? How do we solve it, and what do we do first? So our objective for today is I will be able to simplify expressions with the distributive property and combining like terms. So step 1, if you have parentheses, solve them first because of the order of operations. But if you do not have like terms inside of those parentheses, use the distributive property to get rid of the parentheses. So please write this step 1 down because this is going to be a good hint on all of our expressions that we are trying to simplify. Alright, so let's take a look at this expression in particular. So please write this one down. 4x minus 2 plus 5 times 2x minus 7 plus 12. So that's pretty overwhelming. So we want to simplify this to make it a little bit more manageable, and then if we do need to solve it later, it's going to be a lot easier and faster in the long run. Alright, so first of all, let's look at our parentheses. Now we need to ask ourselves, inside of the parentheses, do we have any like terms that we can combine? And as you can see, the answer is no. So to get rid of the parentheses now, we need to do the distributive property. So we have 5 times 2x and 5 times negative 7. So rewrite everything else, but instead of this, you're going to distribute. So 4x minus 2. So then we have 5 times 2x is 10x, and since it's positive, we are plussing. And then we have 5 times negative 7, which is negative 35. Okay, and then bring that 12 down. So that's our first step in solving this multi-step simplifying expression. Our next step is to simply combine like terms. So I retyped what we just wrote down, so you can keep on going underneath. Now we have 4x minus 2 plus 10x minus 35 plus 12. Okay, and step 2 is combining like terms. Now remember our tricks when it comes to combining like terms. We want to underline, circle, do different shapes for each different or each like term, and we cannot forget about the sign to the left of the term. So let's first look at our x's. So we have 4x that I'm going to put around a box, and then we have 10x that I'm going to circle or put a box around plus 10x. Okay, those are all my x's, so I'm going to switch colors and shapes just so we can really see the difference. So we have a negative 2, that's a constant, then we have a negative 35 and a plus 12. Alright, so first off, let us combine the variables. So we have 4x plus 10. So 4x plus 10 is 14x. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, and now let's take a look at the constants. Now, you might want to do it one at a time, which is a good strategy. So let's take a look one at a time. We have negative 2 minus 35. So negative 2 minus 35. Now remember, anytime that we're dealing with negatives, we have to do keep, change, opposite. So now we have negative 2 plus negative 35. Well, we know that negative 2 plus 35 is 37, and since it's a negative plus a negative, it's negative 37. Okay, and then we still have the plus 12. So now we need to combine the negative 37 plus 12. I just did it in 2 steps so you could really see it, but so we're going to keep this 14x, and now we have negative 37 plus 12. So remember, when we have a negative plus positive, we have to do 37 minus 12, which is 25. And since the 37 is a bigger number, we need to subtract 25. So our final answer is 14x minus 25. Alright, so let's take a look at our next example. So we have 3x plus 7y squared minus 4 times 4x plus 8 minus 2y squared plus 10. So man, that's a big equation, and we want to simplify that. So first step is our parentheses. Since we don't have any like terms in our parentheses, we are going to be using the distributive property. So we have to multiply negative 4 times 4x and negative 4 times 8. Alright, so we're going to rewrite everything else just how it's written. And then when we get to it, negative 4 times 4x is negative 14x. And negative 4 times 8 is a negative 32. So we're going to keep on writing everything just like we did before. Alright, let me change my pen color so we can get a little bit of a different color going on. So let's first circle our x's. So we have 3x and then a negative 16x. Those are all of our x's. Let's change our pen color, and you can just simply do a different shape, but I really want you to see the difference. So we have plus 7y squared and then minus 2y squared. Okay, and then let's change our color one last time to red, and then we have our constants. So we have a negative 32 and a plus 10. Okay, so now let's take a look. 3x minus 16x. So remember that's the same thing as saying 16 minus 3, which is 13x, and then we're taking the sign of the bigger number. Now let's take a look at the y's. Y squares, we have 7y squared minus 2y squared. Alright, so 7 minus 2 is 5, and since the 7's a bigger number, it's a plus 5y squared. And then we have negative 17x, we're going to the triangles, we already used that one, negative 32 plus 10. So that's the same thing as saying 32 minus 10, which is 22, and since 32 is the bigger number, 8 is a negative 22. So this is how you would simplify this big, long equation. Alright, so the last one we're going to look at together is 2 times 3x minus 5 minus 5x plus 6 plus 7 plus x. Alright, so with this one we have two sets of parentheses, and we're going to attack it the same exact way as we would if we only had one. Okay, so first off, look and see if there's any like terms inside the parentheses. And once again, that is not the case. So, get my pen working here. We're going to do the distributive property on both. So 2 times 3x, so is 6x. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Okay, and then we're going to do the distributive property over here too. So negative 4 times 5 is negative 20x. And negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. And then we just simply copy the 7 and the x down. Okay, so now let's take a look and combine our like terms now that we got rid of those parentheses. All right, so let's look at the x's first. So I have 6x and then negative 20x and 1x. And then we have our constants that we can look at. So let's take a look at our constants. Let's use green on this one. So we have a box around the negative 10, negative 24, and positive 7. Alright, so now we have 6x minus 20x. So 6 minus 20, which is the same thing as 20 minus 6, okay, when you get 14. Okay, the 20 is the bigger number, so it's going to be negative 14x, and then we still have to plus another x. So negative 14 plus x is negative 13x. Okay, and I'll cross that off. We can cross these circles off because we've already used them. Okay, now we have negative 10 minus 24. Okay, so negative 10 minus 24, that's the same thing as keep, change, opposite. So negative 10 plus negative 24 is negative 34. And then we can't forget the plus 7. Okay, so rewrite it, negative 13x. We have negative 34 plus 7, which is the same thing as 34 minus 7. Okay, we gotta subtract. Okay, so it gives us 27, and that is still negative. So we have negative 13x minus 27. So boys and girls, you just saw how I did that all in my head without a calculator, and so I am very confident that you can do the same too. So now we are going to be doing things a little bit different, as I've explained in class, that now you are going to try this on your own. Look back on the videos if you get confused, just show you step by step on how to do it. Pause it, and you're going to be showing me the answer at the end. Then if you have any questions at all, you can write them down. I'm not making this mandatory, but if you do have a question, I don't want to leave you hanging in the dust here. So thank you so much for taking time to watch this video and being diligent about writing down your notes and thinking about good questions to ask me. And I will see you later. Bye-bye.